there's another £25 up for grabs on the Starting 11 app this weekend. Simply enter the FPLtips mini league and select a team of 11 players from this Saturday's matches. It's completely free to enter, and the league is public and open to all via the Browse Games menu. Or alternatively, you can enter using the code on screen now. Wolves finally put an end to their clean sheet drought, earning a 2-0 win over Bournemouth in Gameweek 17, with Etihad's side failing to produce a single big chance. Liverpool allowed Man United just 2 efforts on target during their 3-1 victory, but Jesse Lingard's goal meant just a 2-point return for Andy Robertson. With Alexander-Arnold ruled out through a foot injury, a late transfer for Huddersfield's Chris Lerwer was made. Schindler would have been the safer route to go down perhaps, but Lerwer was set to line up in a wing-back role and looked likely to take a greater share of set pieces due to Aaron Moy's absence. After a comfortable first half for the Terriers, Salomon Rondon's 55th minute goal came against the run of play, with Lerwer subbed off shortly afterwards. Eden Hazard was the only player to step up in midfield, setting up Pedro's opening goal, before later getting on the score sheet himself during the 2-1 away win over Brighton. His total of 3 attempted assists was on par with Mo Salah, only Wijnaldum and Robertson produced more in Gameweek 17. Spurs left it late to find a winner against Burnley, but it was Harry Kane who found Christian Eriksen for the stoppage time goal. Lacazette came off the bench to provide a second half assist against Southampton, while Success only made a cameo during the 3-2 win over Cardiff, having started each of the previous 3 matches. Frustratingly, Aaron Wan-Bissaka stayed rooted to the bench with his 6-point return, with the Watford forward instead coming in for Sead Kolasinac, who missed out through injury. So just an average game week, and a score of 50 points saw a small red arrow, down from 15k to around the 17k mark. With midweek EFL Cup matches to be played, it's a week to avoid making early transfers if you can help it, with 6 Premier League teams in action. But one move that remains on the cards is a downgrade from Mohamed Salah to a Man City midfielder, ahead of Crystal Palace's visit to the Etihad in Gameweek 18. Over the last 5 game weeks, no midfielder has provided more than Leroy Sané's 7 FPL goal involvements, and if he were to get a rest in the Cup midweek, that transfer would be all the more tempting. However, there are other issues with the squad too, with a couple of minor injury doubts in Hazard and Kolasinac, and the form of Salah in recent game weeks is what's held up that transfer for so long. With Wolves and Newcastle up next, keeping the Egypt international remains an option. So no moves have been made for now, and any potential late transfer will largely depend on the outcome of those midweek EFL Cup matches. But here's a look at how the team is currently shaping up for Gameweek 18. Rui Patricio may have only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 9 game weeks, but only Chelsea have conceded fewer big chances than Wolves during that period. The side have secured results against Man City, Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea already this season, conceding just 4 times during those 4 matches. So can Wolves cause problems for Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool on Friday night? It's not ideal to have to also field Matt Doherty this game week, given the fixture against the current league leaders, but the wingback has been directly involved in 6 goals this season. Over the last 6 game weeks, no defender has registered more than his 2 big chances, while only Callum Chambers has fired more shots on target. Sead Kolasinac has been involved in training ahead of Arsenal's midweek EFL Cup tie with Spurs, after he missed the defeat to Southampton with a thigh injury. No side have scored fewer goals or taken fewer shots on target than Burnley over the last 6 game weeks, while only Huddersfield have recorded fewer big chances. The Terriers host Southampton on the back of their 3-2 win over Arsenal last weekend, but the Saints have only scored 7 goals on their travels this season. Fulham, Burnley and Cardiff are the only sides to have scored fewer away goals. Richarlison came close to extending his goals tally with a big chance missed against Man City last weekend. And amongst midfielders, the Brazilian ranks top for shots inside the box over the last 4 game weeks. Spurs recorded their 7th clean sheet of the season with a 1-0 win over Burnley in Gameweek 17, but only 6 teams have faced more efforts inside the box during away matches this season. Ryan Fraser's numbers for goal threat have diminished in recent weeks, with the Scotland international producing just 1 attempt in his last 4 matches. But he's returned an incredible average of 7.8 points per match during home games against non-top 6 sides this season, producing 2.8 attempted assists per match on average during those games. Only Fulham and Burnley have allowed opponents more shots from inside the box than Brighton this season. Over the last 4 game weeks, only Snodgrass and Hazard have been directly involved in more goals than Mo Salah amongst midfielders, with the Egypt international producing just one fewer attempted assist than Hazard. But over the last 4 game weeks, no side have conceded fewer big chances than Wolves. So, as mentioned earlier, it will be tempting to move him on for Leroy Sané or Raheem Sterling, if either of the Man City pair are given a rest midweek and there are no other pressing issues to deal with. Eden Hazard was withdrawn with a bit of a knock last weekend, but both the player and manager Maurizio Sarri have confirmed that it's nothing serious, so the Belgian remains in line to start against Leicester. No midfielder has produced more than Hazard's 13 attempted assists in the last 4 game weeks, or been directly involved in more goals. Alexandre Lacazette is another potential concern, depending on the outcome of the EFL Cup midweek. If the forward is used from the start as a lone striker against Spurs, it would perhaps indicate that Emery is planning to stick with Aubameyang leading the line for the home fixture against Burnley in Gameweek 18. The Frenchman did get a return off the bench against Southampton though, and there's still a chance that the manager will use both strikers at the weekend, and perhaps also midweek against Spurs. Over the last 6 game weeks, Burnley have conceded 69 shots inside the box, which is more than any other side have allowed. Harry Kane completes the team, ahead of a trip to Goodison Park, but we've again seen a reduction in his underlying numbers in recent matches. Over the last 4 game weeks, 13 players have taken more than Kane's 4 efforts on target, and 31 players have beaten his total of 5 efforts from inside the box. So there are big question marks over the Spurs forward's value in the longer term, but with other issues to deal with at the moment, he'll be staying in the team for the time being. For those with Man City attackers, this looks like a good week to give them the captain's armband, ahead of Crystal Palace's visit to the Etihad. Guardiola's side have scored 20 goals across their last 5 home league matches, at an average of 4 goals per game. But the form of Eden Hazard has also been very impressive of late, and Leicester have conceded 9 goals in 4 games against top 6 sides this season, losing on each occasion. So it's the Belgian who will likely take the armband here. Daily fantasy football mini-leagues are now available on Starting 11. Join a public mini-league or compete privately against your friends. Download the Starting 11 app now and enter free-to-play or cash contests.